Dat Jedi podcast. I'm Aaron, and with me, as always, are my good friends Dave and Fredo. How you doing, guys?
Yeah,
Hi.
doing good.
So the sun is still kind of out, which is nice. I have to say, on Sunday, I took Anthony Mackie's advice. I watched a video of him talking about how one of his essential things is to get a po' boy from Zimmer's Seafood and then go up to the lakefront. Well, we didn't go to Zimmer's Seafood, but Brittany and I went and we got on Sunday when I got in a po' boy from Parkway, and then went and sat at the lakefront and had a little mini picnic on a bench, and then walked up and down the lake. And it's been a delight. It was a delightful Sunday. So it's just been gorgeous the last few days. So you guys getting out and about, doing anything?
Not really. I mean, I'm like yard work.
Hey, you're enjoying the great outdoors.
Yeah.
That's the other side of the coin for this time of the year. It rains so
Picking
much.
up dog crap is a very zen-like experience. I know this. You have some of your best thoughts when you're picking up dog crap.
And in the winter here, you can go like 3 months without mowing your lawn, and we're past that point. you get like a week.
Okay, so Dave, you're from Kansas originally, yeah? So
Mhm.
you know this. We had dogs, and it's really easy to not pick up your yard during the winter months because the snow just covers it up, and then comes springtime, you have to do that yard cleaning where it's like you realize how much your dogs have done in the last 2 months. So now being in New Orleans, it's like now I just do it like on a daily basis, and so it's a much better. That's why you come to this podcast, is listen about dog crap. But hey, it is what it is. Fredo, what are you up to?
No, I kind of, yes, helping with the yard work. Took a drive around Lowe's, which was crazy over the weekend. Went and picked up. So we're doing normally this time of year in New Orleans is Jazz Fest. So because of the pandemic, it's going to happen in October. So been listening to WWOC doing Jazz Festing in place, which good soundtrack if you're doing yard work. But then I also went over to Gabrielle's restaurant and picked up some crawfish bread, which is quite good.
Oh yeah, we got some of that too. It was so good. If I don't know if anybody listening to this, if they're going to do it again next weekend, but yeah,
I
you
hope
should
so.
get them.
Yes, and if you ever get a chance, get their bourbon milk punch. It's always good.
Well, there you have it, straight from Fredo. There's your and so you can get a po' boy, crawfish bread, and the bourbon
Bourbon
milk
milk
punch. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's a Sunday brunch drink, but yeah, some days you don't feel like a beer. Some days you don't feel like a hard liquor. It's a good in between.
I don't know. I always kind of feel like a beer, but
Well,
but
it is the season.
well, I can tell you what we're all going to be doing. We're all going to be doing, because next Tuesday is a very special day, everybody. Check your calendars, because it is Star Wars Day. It is May the 4th. And and we're going to be doing something very special. So for May the 4th, next Tuesday from 6 to 8 p.m., yours truly, the Who Dat Jedi podcast, is going to be out there at Zony Mash in New Orleans. We're going to play trivia in person with anyone who wants to participate. So I will have the trivia cards. And there just might be a little free Who Dat Jedi swag. Free Who Dat Jedi swag. I think they need to answer a question correctly, or at least attempt to answer a question correctly for the swag. But so yeah, we have some Who Dat Jedi stuff to hand out. So and also out there is going to be the band Big in the 90s. They'll be providing live music, and people will be dressing up in their favorite Star Wars outfits. Do I have to wear my armor?
You
Nah,
have
you
to if
don't
you
have
want
to.
to. If you want to, but that's not
This is now tempting. I don't know. Okay,
Uh,
so
You will have a snazzy new T-shirt at that point.
oh, that's true. So no armor. Maybe I'll bring a bucket. All right. So
yeah.
let's see here but more importantly, the Jewish Federation will be there for Give Nola Day. That's actually bigger than Star. Well, it's not bigger than Star Wars Day. I don't know if I can say that on a Star Wars podcast. Yeah, it's bigger than Star Wars Day. Give Nola Day. So they're going to be out there, raising funds. So if you can come out, support them, that is awesome. And you can pre-register for this event. And when you do, you get a free drink on them. And the link is going to be provided in this week's episode description. So check out the episode description, pre-register, and that gets you a free drink. What other reason do you need? So what's also cool is that by donating $10 to the Federation, you get another free drink. Though that's not required, and you can just show up for the live music and trivia if you want, but we encourage you to donate, if not to the Jewish Federation, somewhere, help out New Orleans. People are encouraged to register regardless so that we can keep the venue and the event safe. COVID guidelines, including mask wearing, will be enforced. But anyway, live music, drinks, costumes, Who Dat Jedi, trivia, swag. I don't know what other great words we could use to entice you to come on out. So hopefully it'll be a great night, and we might try to record some of that trivia and play it on the podcast. So
yeah, I think that might be next week's show. Might be some stuff we get from that event. But I did want to say the T-shirt thing. Oh, I don't know. Do you guys have anything else to add to that event?
I don't know what else I could say. It's just
I'm just going to ask if Aaron's going to ask his trivia question.
Oh,
the trivia question.
The trivia question. That was actually my Facebook memory from a couple days ago, because
I saw that.
Yeah, it's like it was the day. Yeah, so.
But it's funny. I was thinking about the T-shirt thing, and it got me thinking. How many Star Wars T-shirts do you guys have at this point? Because I had not been keeping count, and I was doing my laundry the other day, and I was like, "Wow, I'm up to 6 at this point. I almost have one for every day of the week."
And as Dave just froze there, or he's astonished that he has 6. I think I have more than 6.
Probably have about that much, if nothing else. Nope, Dave's back.
I have several. I love my mashups. I think my favorite that I have is my Spy versus Spy with lightsabers.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorites. Like I said, so it's it's the mashup, or the Death Star. It says rebuild it and the rebels will pay for it. That was my political message from So there you go. But
now for me, probably it's the one of the stormtroopers TPing the X-wing.
But I was wearing. We were walking around the French Quarter a couple of weekends ago, and I was wearing my. It's a mashup of Star Wars and Van Gogh's Starry Night, and it's a stormtrooper and some guy on the street just totally freaked out over it. Just thought it was the coolest shirt he's ever seen. So I have one fan. So, but yeah. So, Dave, do you have anything more to add about the event?
I think you covered it. I mean, again, would love to see some people come out. It's a fun thing because it's like, okay, May the 4th lines up with Give Nola Day this year. May as well celebrate both. So,
yeah, and Big in the '90s is a good band. I heard them for the first time at Urban South a few weeks ago, and of course, being when you were going to college in the '90s, it was like major flashbacks. So every song is a good song, and very, very talented musicians. So all right, so yeah, come on out. Make sure you check out the show description so you can register and get your free beer and donate so you can get another free beer, and there will be free swag. If I can say free anymore, I don't know how I would do it. So yeah, cool. All right, well, let's move on to some trivia. And so the Trivial Pursuit DVD Star Wars Saga Edition, the categories are color coordinated, as all Trivial Pursuit things are. And maybe that's what we could do. I could actually bring out the entire game and have the board, and we could have a little competition going. I don't know. We'll have to think about that. But so I just need one of you guys to, let's see, Dave, pick a color. It's either blue, pink, yellow, brown, green, or orange.
I'll go with green.
All right. So green is the category for all of us this week. So, Dave, what planet is the backdrop to Anakin and Padme's last embrace? Ooh. What planet is the backdrop to Anakin and Padme's last embrace?
I think Mustafar.
I was going to go with Coruscant because I don't remember them embracing on Mustafar, and it is Mustafar.
When she lands and he runs to her.
The force choke is considered an embrace, I suppose.
No. Remember,
I mean, it is. Yeah, that's right. They do run and hug. That's right. There is a moment of lovey-doveyness. You're correct. Yeah, Mustafar.
Before he has to force choke her because she brought Obi-Wan.
That's right.
She made him do it, you see.
Sorry. All right. Fredo, your green question. How many pilots typically man the controls of an Imperial Scout Walker?
Ooh, let's see. Trying to picture from the Return of the Jedi, the Mandalorian. I'm going to go with 2.
It is 2, and that can be humans or Ewoks. And what?
And how many Wookiees?
Well, yeah. Well, there's, that they did have, Chewbacca in the driver's seat, and then both Ewoks. So looked a little crowded. All right. So my green question: what color are the markings designating a battle droid with command responsibilities? Now, I am not looking back at my battle droids back here, but I do know this one already, and it is yellow. Yes, it is yellow. Do you know what the one from the Phantom Menace, what his designation was? Bonus points.
No clue.
I used to know, but I forgot.
9. OOM-9. So there you go. There's your geek for the night. All right, we're warmed up for Star Wars. And guess what? The only time we're going to be talking about Star Wars is in the news section, because tonight, actually, our main topic is going to be Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I think we're going to be geeking out over this quite a bit as kind of a giving away the hand here a little bit. Marvel is hitting it out of the park with these shows so far. Thought WandaVision was good, but Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think they hit it out of the park. But Fredo, let's go on to some news.
Okay, actually, before we get to the fun stuff, we'll kind of do. Okay, it's kind of weird to do this story because it combines Star Wars, New Orleans, and crime in a way in which I don't know. I mean, part of you, it's a serious story, but part of you just runs wild with the ways to tell it. So I'll just read it from WDSU's website. The New Orleans Police Department is searching for a person seen wearing a Star Wars costume wanted in connection with a stabbing incident. Police say around 8:50 p.m. on Saturday night, a performer known to wear a Chewbacca costume reportedly stabbed a person with a knife after a verbal disagreement in the 700 block of Toulouse Street.
That old man's mad.
Person's actual identity is unknown. I mean, I thought we knew it was Chewbacca, but okay. Police say a witness stated the person's costume head came off. So, that would that have been a big faux pas in the 501st, Aaron? Did the helmet not come off?
Yeah.
Breaking character. Yeah.
It would.
Revealed the suspect to be a man, possibly in his 20s.
But ladies and gentlemen...
Sorry, go ahead.
Anyone with additional information has to call the NOPD or Crime Stoppers.
All right, so
go.
All right, so first of all, this is a must. So yes, this was my question. Will this person be using the Chewbacca defense?
Of this supposed jury, I have one final thing I want you to consider. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Chewbacca. Chewbacca is a Wookiee from the planet Kashyyyk, but Chewbacca lives on the planet Endor. Now think about that. That does not make sense. Damn it.
What? He's using the Chewbacca defense.
Why would a Wookiee, an 8-foot-tall Wookiee, want to live on Endor with a bunch of 2-foot-tall Ewoks? That does not make sense. But more important, you have to ask yourself, what does this have to do with this case? Nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, it has nothing to do with this case. It does not make sense. Look at me. I'm a lawyer defending a major record company, and I'm talking about Chewbacca. Does that make sense? Ladies and gentlemen, I am not making any sense. None of this makes sense. And so you have to remember, when you're in that jury room deliberating and conjugating the Emancipation Proclamation, does it make sense? No. Ladies and gentlemen of this supposed jury, it does not make sense. If Chewbacca lives on Endor, you must acquit. The defense rests.
I always love the moment after that when one juror's head explodes.
I'm sorry. That's just, I mean, yeah, that's what I thought about. But I have to add something to this. So yeah, I mean, and not to I'm sorry. We're making light of somebody was stabbed here. So let's take this serious. I mean, this is awful. But it's also, I mean, I have an irreverent sense of humor. So I sent the NOPD tweet to my mom and my brother and my sister, and I said, I gotta let you know this is not me. And so my brother sent me screenshots. He sent a text to his two kids, obviously my niece and nephew, and he said, Uncle Aaron felt he had to text Grandma Wendy and me to assure him that this wasn't him. To which my niece says, honestly, probably a necessary disclaimer. Not that I would think Uncle Aaron would stab somebody, but the Chewie suit. And then my brother says, Uncle Aaron wouldn't do that. He's a stickler for authenticity. He would have a crossbow blaster. Then my nephew says, if it were Uncle Aaron, he would recruit real Ewoks to make humorous contraptions to attack people. So my family really knows me. So
yeah, no, it's, again, on the one hand, you can't escape the awfulness of and seriousness situation. On the other hand, oh God,
only in New Orleans, right?
Yeah, no.
Have you guys,
There's
by
a
the way,
reason that phrase exists.
have you guys ever been
Chewbacca stabbings?
Have you ever been to Times Square?
No,
yeah.
Not yet.
So Dave, you've been to Times Square. So were you accosted by all the people that want you to pay them like $20 to take their picture? The cosplayers, they're not even good cosplayers. It's like
no. Thankfully, that's a trend that hadn't really taken off yet.
Yeah, last I was in New York a couple years ago, and it was like, no, I don't want picture taken with Iron Man. Go away. So but we will say we've had the people from the Lagerettes, and from the Chewbacca's parade on here. This is not the pink Wookiee that is in that parade. This is another Chewbacca costume. So the pink Wookiee is off the hook.
Somebody asked me do you expect Chewbacca to make a statement? I'm like, this has nothing to do with them. This is just a regular Wookiee. And please do us a favor, do not confuse Chewbacca with Tarful. This might be an adolescent Lumpy, okay?
Yeah, it might be. It might be an adolescent Lumpy. That's a good way to put it. All right, so yeah, so we're making light of this, but the next story, actually, both of these stories have New Orleans twists to them. So why don't you go with the next one?
Okay, so finally somehow came out. The source is from 2011 at the New Orleans Comic Con. Back then, somebody asked Billy D. Williams, how come Lando Calrissian is seen at the end of Empire Strikes Back wearing Han Solo's clothes? Now, of course, everybody makes the natural conclusion that, well, Lando ran for his life at the end of Empire. He didn't get a chance to pack all his capes. So, but this is what Billy D. Williams said back then. It was shared by, Star Wars Made Easy. It says, quote, it's been suggested that the outfit is the remnant of a flight uniform, and so a natural choice for any pilot. But really, what better way for the filmmakers to suggest that Han is really gone than to set Lando up in his replacement, complete with his ship and fashion sense, end quote. So yeah, because I think they made an intonation that the flight outfit was supposed to be a callback to the Corellian military, in which Lando served at one point, and Corellia being where Han is from. And then they had a regular plot story answer of, well, he didn't pack any clothes. And then, of course, the actual reason apparently that Billy D. Williams went with is, We gotta find a way to make people understand that maybe Han won't be back.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Billy D. Williams was, you know, smacked across the face with a question he wasn't expecting and kind of improvised off the cuff there. But New
Eh,
Orleans breaking news, right?
in true Lando fashion, he was quick on his feet and came up with an answer that satisfied the audience.
And actually, if that I'm not saying that story is true, but that's actually kind of it's a story that kind of makes sense where it does not make sense. It kind of makes sense where it's like, hey, this is the new Han Solo now because everybody pretty much thought Han was done for. Um, but pardon me while I choke on that. Anyway,
It's an amazing story to me because it doesn't settle anything. This is like one of those nerd debates that has raged for, since 1980. And it's like, no, you still haven't really solved it. Because I read the article and there were like four different answers within the article itself. And one of them was that the production designer just went with that. It's like, oh, just put him in Han's clothes. There was no logic behind it, and that's the real world answer apparently. But everybody's been trying to figure out why, ever since, and
Uh,
again, we still don't know.
and can I just say that honestly, until that article came up, I really never thought of it. It just go, okay, Han changed clothes. I mean, sorry, Han. Lando changed clothes. He's in the Millennium Falcon with Chewie. They're gonna go find Han. It never sunk into me. Oh no, he's wearing Han's outfit
the
from A New Hope.
the first time I thought of that was Robot Chicken when
Mhm.
Chewbacca's going, "Why are you wearing Han's clothes?" I was like, "Oh, be darn, yeah, that's right." I mean, it didn't strike me as odd either. But I think in 1983 I would have been 10 years old, so I wasn't looking for loopholes or things that bother me in movies at that point. I wasn't that cynical yet. You know what I mean? So I think these were a lot of people who were probably in, you know, high school who were, flipping out about it. But anyway, but yeah, no, I just, like I said, that came across my feed and I was like, I think I sent it to you guys. I said, the only interesting part of this is that it was unearthed in New Orleans. So
Yeah, New Orleans 2011, and 10 years later it comes up to the forefront, which kind of goes to show. I mean, nothing stays hidden forever.
also happening on May the 4th, Bad
Yep,
Batch comes out, right?
yes, it does. And we got a leak today that dropped on Reddit of not only the titles for episodes 1 and 2, but the description and runtimes. So the image, it's from the Disney Plus uh, menu. So the way it's going to look whenever you fire up Disney Plus, and it says, "The Bad Batch must find their way in a rapidly changing galaxy." That's kind of the tagline for the series. Episode 1 is called Aftermath. It's 75 minutes long, which that's a lot. It's longer than any Falcon Winter Soldier episode. It goes, "The clones of the Bad Batch find themselves in a changing galaxy after the Clone Wars." The episode 2 is called Cut and Run. That one's 31 minutes long, and it says, "The Bad Batch visit an old contact."
So, do you find it interesting that they they start off with a 75-minute? I mean, why would you? Why would do you need to do 75 minutes to hook people in, or why? I just find that interesting. I'm not critical of it. I just think I find it interesting. I think probably a lot of the big Clone Wars fans would love if every episode was 75 minutes long. You know,
It'll take twice as long to make the series, though, to animate it.
and
Yeah, and that was my first thought. I was like, that's an incredible amount of work to animate 75 minutes worth of action.
I
Um,
mean, let's be frank. It's two episodes just blopped into
right.
one.
And I think they're kind of doing the same thing because they've done the same thing for both Clone Wars and Rebels. Like, I mean, the opening movie of Clone Wars, the animated the series, was the episode where we can introduce Ahsoka, and that's 3 episodes. And then Rebels was the same thing, wasn't it? 2 episodes back to back that were really more of like a movie.
Well, I know. Yeah, I know. Season 2 was for sure. I don't know if the first one was or not. Um, but no, I mean, it all looks good actually. And I won't say what the leak is, but there was. We'll speak cryptically here. Did you guys see the leak about one of the members of the Bad Batch?
I didn't, but I
No?
haven't been looking.
Toy packaging leaked something about one of the members. If you notice, like on a lot of the promos, one of the members of the Bad Batch is like not on the posters. So, but the toy packaging gave it away. So, I suppose we'll say spoiler alert. Or do you want me to spoil it for you two? If you don't want me to spoil it for you two, then I'll just shut up right now.
Yeah, shut up.
Okay, I'll shut up then. Right? It's nothing earth shattering, but it's kind of interesting. So, all right. And now you're gonna fight the temptation to Google that and look it up. So now I'm looking forward to this. But I also don't really know what to expect. So that'll be kind of interesting. So
I think what's interesting is that they're telling you front, they're starting after the fall of the Republic, the end of the Clone Wars. Because, I mean, we've seen those moments from the point of view of the lead characters, whether it's in Clone Wars or whether it's in the movies. We haven't seen it so much from the boots on the ground kind of characters. How did it feel like to see Order 66 go down? How did it feel like to see the Galactic Republic fall and the Empire rise? I think that's something that's going to intrigue me to see. Just that immediate aftermath of, oh crud, everything's changed.
So I will still say I'm still going to put down like $5, or I'll bet you guys a beer that at some point Boba Fett is in this. I don't have anything to back that up except the only thing that's telling me that's what's going to happen is because Fennec Shand, I said this in a previous episode, Fennec Shand is in it, so I think that's a way to link those two together. Because I still wonder why did he just, pick up some rando dead body. I think there's more history there, and I think we're going to see that, and it's going to allow them, Dave Filoni, to expand that Boba Fett story a little bit and lead you into the Book of Boba Fett. That's Aaron's hot take, and it's like I said, I'll bet the two of you, not everybody listening to this, but I'll bet the two of you a beer. That's what happens.
The setting, circling back to what Fredo was talking about with the time within the timeline, is interesting and noteworthy for one reason. It means we're probably not going to be wasting a lot of time on backstory because they've already been introduced, and you could go into the how they came to be and how they honed their skills and all that kind of stuff, and they chose no, we're not going to do that. We're going to tell this different story in this different time frame, and in a way that sort of differentiates this series from Clone Wars even further, which I think is good. I'm for that, and I think we need more stories in this time frame, which is like the immediate aftermath of the fall of the Republic. There's not a lot out there.
No,
there's a lot of
straight from episode 3 to episode 4. I mean, I guess Rogue One.
I mean, you got Rebels, you got Rogue One, but you got that stuff takes place way later.
Way later.
And even Solo takes place, I think 10 years after the fact, something like that.
Yeah, by then we're seeing the Republic in place.
Yeah,
so the Empire in place.
Yeah, so there's like a decade's worth of stories to tell that we haven't gotten yet. So that's kind of exciting.
Aaron, quick question.
Yes.
Okay, do you think you'll see Boba Fett? Do you think we'll see Cad Bane?
Well, I mean, I think that would be a shoehorn thing. I think the Boba Fett thing fits, and it fits more than Cad Bane, but I would think now if I want to talk my way around into this, is that Dave, you're talking about. I mean, anytime that there's, and I think they even mention this in Solo, or they mention some movie. I don't know. It's like, so Republic falls, Empire is now in charge, but no, they mentioned it in The Mandalorian that there's just there was a vacuum created, and so the 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 underworld kind of just fills in that void in some of these places. Um, so it could very well be that the Bad Batch is sent to deal with a Cad Bane who is deciding that he's going to run the Outer Rim or whatever. But like I said, the only reason I say Boba Fett's going to be in there is because we know Fennec Shand is. And I think that's going to be connecting the dots to the Book of Boba Fett. So, I don't know. That Bad Batch have a little girl kicking around with them too. So, I don't know. Well, there's a lot of questions to be answered. So, anyway, all right. Well, yeah, Bad Batch starts next week, and I will not probably have it watched before Zony Mash, so you guys can't say anything to me when you see me at Zony Mash. It might be possible. Who knows?
It's 106 minutes. That's what, almost 2 hours.
Yeah, it ain't getting done. 106. Yeah, it ain't getting done.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
2 episodes, 75 plus 31. So yeah, unless you're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch it instead of running.
I still don't have that much time. So, well, all right. Well, let's move on to the topic of the week, and that is, let's wrap up Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So we kind of took you up to everything except the last 2 episodes. I don't want to do a rundown of those last 2 episodes, except I just want to point some things out that really stuck out. And I will say at the beginning of the second to last episode, the thing I thought was just, I mean, it's like, it's not even gentle symbolism, but you had America literally running away from its atrocities.
Covered in blood.
The first shot is Captain America running away from having, mercilessly killing somebody, murdering somebody. So like I said, you had America literally running away from its atrocities, and I was just like, I mean, we paused it like 5 seconds in. I was like, whoa, that's something. And that's what this show has done throughout its entire, but especially in these last 2 episodes, that it is hitting you with some lessons, son. I mean, there's a lot of it. So that was the first thing that hit me. The other thing that hit me, it was not until the second to last episode as well. The Flag Smashers, they're all in gray. And I thought that was like an awesome choice for the costume designer, because given the line that, they said, one person's terrorist is another person's revolutionary. So, the Flag Smashers were all very gray, and so anyway, I thought that those were kind of interesting things. But I don't know where we want to start with this, but I guess first of all, let's start from the very end. Did you feel, how'd you like how it all ended? And by the way, spoiler alert, everybody, if you haven't watched it, we're not going to talk in code for the whole time. But did you feel good about how the season ended?
Yeah. I guess, like, I had some issues. One of the things that bothered me was Sharon. And I don't think there's an easy reconciliation for that, how inconsistently her character has behaved throughout the series. And I know that there are ways they can write themselves out of that corner eventually. But I think that it really speaks to the fact that they probably did some significant rewriting or re-editing of this series at some point. And that's been rumored by several outlets.
Yeah, there was some whole like subplot about a virus or something like that. I don't know if it was,
Yeah.
and vaccines. They even mentioned vaccines at one of the episodes. So I don't know if they thought COVID was a little bit too close to home or what. But yeah, that whole the lady, the the leader of the Flag Smashers or whatever, the lady who died, that was all very vague. It seemed like an important plot point, but yeah.
And then the power broker stuff just I read I read one rumor that was like, well, the power broker was intended to be this particular other character. Spoiler alert. They said it was Norman Osborn, and which would be quite the reveal in a television series and kind of a departure, because I think with their intent with these series is let's give our audiences something that they can't get with the feature films, but let's not alienate our feature film audience in the process. And I think like that's sort of like that magic tightrope that they're trying to walk. And so to introduce Osborn on a TV show, I think they would want to save that moment for a movie. So I don't think that that's necessarily true, but I also feel like there's no way she was the power broker originally.
See,
There's no way.
I kind of felt I loved the series, but I was a little underwhelmed by the way it ended, and the whole Sharon Carter thing, it did throw me for a loop. But then I saw one person who was saying that they think that is setting up Armor Wars, where it's another Marvel series coming out on Disney Plus, right? That it's some of Tony Stark's technology gets into the wrong hands. So, but yeah, I mean, but there's a lot of people who are really not. They don't like the idea of Peggy Carter's name, getting kind of. I know it's not Peggy Carter, but
Right.
it was like. But from a storytelling standpoint, it makes sense. It's cool. It makes sense. It's like I'm tired of everybody saying how awesome my aunt is, and here I try to do my best, and I get do what's best for my country, and I get basically excommunicated, and then they welcome her back, and stuff like that. So it's setting up a lot of that whole. A lot of distrust and it's an intrigue and everything like that. So knowing that, I didn't even think about drawing that into Armor Wars, like that kind of makes sense, because the thing that Brittany and I are at the end of this, we're like, there's got to be a second season, because the package is not wrapped in a bow and and sealed up and all's good, dust off your hands and off you go. There's too many questions that are left open. And it's Marvel connecting all of its shows, probably. So we'll come to find out.
I think in some ways, I mean, Marvel's smart because they know, look, we're gonna give you more down the line. So, the best thing they could do is finish up the story. This story, the 6 episodes were all about getting Sam to come to a place where he can accept the shield, the mantle, the responsibility of being Captain America, and all that it brings, good and bad, uh, forward. So that's kind of where the story goes. I can see where a lot of people got rubbed the wrong way, given Sharon's position. But I also think this is the other thing that Marvel's really doing. They're hammering hard how much of, even though Endgame snapped away the snap, they flipped. They brought back everybody who passed away. It's like, it's like it never happened, what Thanos did. There are still after effects. There's still aftermath. There's still all the trauma and all the tragedy and all the pain that got caused by that event remains. So the idea is you can't just simply wipe away the past mistakes and go, it's like it never happened. And look, everything's back to normal. It's like, nope. There were people who lived lives in that moment and afterwards.
All right.
Just wipe it away.
To that point, kind of tangentially here, and I've got another thing I want to share in a bit, but I want to speak to that for a second, because you said, all is forgiven. And that was one of the things that, it's like they were they were really quick to give the fake Captain America a redemption arc really quick. Whereas at the end of WandaVision, Wanda is looked as an outcast and evil, being for everything that she did, even though she, you know, tried to, you know what I mean? It's like, so that kind of rubbed us wrong. It's like, wow, we're quick to, give Homeboy a pass, but Wanda's got to go live on an island somewhere.
Yeah, and I kind of think part of I could have accepted less the redemption, more along the lines of, okay, he's now working for Julia Louis Dreyfus, aka Val, and he, in some ways, that's more along what he wants to do because it's being Captain America without all the responsibilities. It's being more U.S. agent who's more of a shadowy, darker, in between character.
Now let's
but they did not give him. But the fact that they went full, oh no, he's working with the good guys and we're buddies now.
So let's talk about Julia Louis Dreyfus. We didn't talk about her last week? I don't think.
We didn't.
But that whole thing was kind of shoehorned in, wasn't it? Because if Dave and Fredo, you guys want to talk about that, because I don't think she was originally supposed to be in this series.
I think she was supposed to be in it, but I think her debut was meant to be in Black Widow. Am I correct, Dave?
Yeah, that's what I've read. That the reshuffling of the order of these series. Originally, this series was supposed to come before WandaVision, and Black Widow was supposed to come before both of them. And she was supposed to debut and spoiler alert, she's supposed to debut. She was supposed to debut in Black Widow, and so I think she's still set to appear in that movie. And again, like, her character is interesting. Kind of a shadowy head of Hydra. It's like this Hydra thing won't go away, right?
But they don't explain. They don't explain that in this show, though.
Not really. No,
not at all.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus shows up.
We know it because we, are nerds and look stuff up on the internet, and you guys read the comic books and stuff like that. It's like, and I was on Twitter and clicked on her name because it was trending and found out it's like, what's Madam Hydra? So I had to do, but they don't explain it in the series at all. So it's actually kind of it was another, if you don't know anything, it's kind of like, what's this all about? So it was kind of clumsy at the end, I thought. Anyway, keep going.
What's interesting about this character is it's kind of an amalgamation of like different people have like taken on the title, right, of Madam Hydra. So if anybody's like interested in doing kind of a deeper dive on learning more about like who's Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I'd look at Viper specifically, because I think that character will be the one that really informs where they try to take her. But yeah, I mean, it's like basically a shadowy head of Hydra, which makes all the sense in the world given what we know of Hydra and how they got exposed in Winter Soldier, and they've had to regroup since that time, and it would make sense for them to take steps in that direction. And if you think about it in the terms of like the storytelling possibilities, it's like, well, okay, so she's putting together her own team of quote unquote heroes, which is like very Dark Avengers-esque. And now you're really headed towards some really fun potential conflict for the good guys down the road, where they have to take on a less good version of themselves at some point.
Now,
that's what all that entails. I mean, like that's where we're headed. Remember at the end of Iron Man when Nick Fury shows up and says the Avengers initiative, and everybody's like, oh, the Avengers. It's like, this is what this signifies. It's like we're headed towards the Dark Avengers.
So now, Dave, you said the first time we talked about Falcon and Winter Soldier, you brought up the, what it was talking about with race relations, and that's what. Holy crap! Did they hit you across the face with it in these last two episodes with Sam's conversation with Isaiah, with Sam's decision to take up the mantle. Again, the hero's journey. This was not even a subtle hero's journey. He literally picks up, picks up the mantle and decides to be the hero. But it was especially in the um, uh, this past year with the George Floyd murder and with the Black Lives Matter protests that happened all last summer, and throughout the year, and the Chauvin trial that just went down. That was such a, it was such a well timed um, TV event, to speak, the truth of how, the African American it feels in this country, that they do not feel like they are a full citizen.
Mhm.
You know, it was not even subtle in the least bit, and that's what we need is we need things not to be so subtle. I don't want you to dance around it. Just smack us across the face. I thought this was an awesome TV event.
I really liked it a lot, and what I would say is I think mileage is going to vary for audiences because there's going to be certain people who this story resonates with better, and some people are going to find it clunky in certain ways. I know that Isaiah, that character has been criticized for coming around too quickly to Sam. There's been a few other things. Sam's still not a good enough, still not capable enough a fighter. But I think like what I like specifically about him and him kind of taking this journey is that he understands the burden of it and that he steps up to it and he doesn't shy away from it. And like that kind of that's sort of the point of him. Like you had that training montage at the end of the second to last episode where he's just like getting himself stronger and better and more equipped to take this on because he doesn't have the superpowers. He doesn't have like X-ray vision or anything. Like he's just this guy. He's been given this shield, so what he's going to do is he's going to outwork people. And I think like that kind of messaging, um, I think that really resonates with all audiences, not just people of color. Um, but again, I kind of also understand the flip side of the coin. It's like, well, this is sort of clunky, or I didn't like this execution or that, but um, it's still really a powerful story that needs to be told. And I like that it's Sam who was at the center of it.
One thing I will add just right quick, and in some ways, if anything, the last year has always kind of reminded me of is take yourself out of your own privilege and just kind of look at things from an outside point of view. Uh, Marvel does a very good job of making stories that resonate globally. It's part of their, you know, business model. They have to. They're not just making movies for the heartland of America or the coast. They're making movies for South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, etc. So whereas maybe in some instances some stuff may land to in our plates as it's a bit clunky, it's a bit too on the nose, to us. In some instances, they may have done that in fact to so it makes sure so people elsewhere could understand all the implications of what Sam Wilson becoming Captain America meant. Because sometimes, if you try to play it too subtly, like, oh no, everybody will understand what race relations in America have been, or what the history of Black people in America has been. You know, you can paint with the broad brush, but sometimes, trying to be too subtle can be can be missed. Your point can be said. The audience can miss the greater point you're trying to hit, and I think that's why they were so eager to just kind of remind us all the time, because they need to make sure that not just we, the audience here in the U.S. understood, but audience around the globe, and they said, no, this is a big moment. Captain America is a black man, and that should be recognized. And of course, it's a big. I mean, it was a big moment in the comics when Sam did it, and it's not just a bigger moment when Anthony Mackie, New Orleans' own Anthony Mackie, does it.
Yeah, that New Orleans comes up once again, right?
That's right.
All right. So okay,
has anybody made the Jackie Robinson comparison? And I don't know if anybody has, or even if we should, but it's just like that's one of the things that people always said about Jackie Robinson was like it had to be him in that time and in that moment. It kind of had to be him, and like I kind of feel that way about Sam as a character. But
because you mentioned the New Orleans thing, so one of my friends in the 501st, he posted this on Facebook last week. Said, hopefully a spoiler-free quibble with Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then you have to scroll a ways, and he goes, Old Bay at a Louisiana seafood boil? So, but the other theme that this series really addressed was, that I thought was really powerful, was PTSD and just dealing with trauma. Even more so, WandaVision kind of touched on it a bit. I mean, I suppose quite a bit. But this one especially, how Bucky was dealing with, PTSD, how, even Sam to an extent, and how Isaiah is dealing with it, and how Zemo even. I mean, it's like, and that, I don't know, did that strike you guys? And especially just throughout this series, and just I don't know, what'd you think?
I mean, that's the crux of Bucky's arc, right? And I think like I really like that moment where Sam sort of guides him through that process. It's like challenging him. It's like, well, no, you're not doing things for other people. You're doing them for yourself still, and you need to step outside of that, and you need to actually do something, be of service to someone else. And it's like, because this is Sam's background. He was his counselor, and that's how we are introduced to him in Winter Soldier. It's like he's this counselor that connects with Steve, and that's how they begin to build that friendship.
And I think it was either New Rockstars or Screen Crush that pointed out that in this last episode is the first time you see Bucky save anybody. All the other movies, he's just killing people. Even he's killing for the good guys, but here he actually rescues people. So I'm sorry I interrupted you, Dave.
No, that's a good point. And I was talking with this friend of mine about this, and it's like, does Sam have a superpower? He's like, yes, empathy. And like you don't see that from a lot of these characters. It's like, even to the end, to the very end, we had every reason to think that this girl was beyond redemption. He still didn't kill her or fight her. He was still trying to save her. And again, like maybe we're in a position where we need that. We need healing. We need someone who can bridge gaps and bring people together. Yeah, again, too on the nose, maybe, I don't know, but that's who his character has been, so at least it's consistent.
But you guys have said this a couple times, too on the nose. Again, I'm going to come back to my point that I'm sorry, I'm just going to be quite blunt about it, but the dumb, racist, ignorant people in this world, in this country especially, they can't handle symbolism. They need to be struck across the face with it. It's I think it's you can't just beat around the bush, and because they'll miss it. It'll go straight over their heads. They don't get it, They think it's okay to use the N-word because it's used over and over again in Tom Sawyer or Huck Finn, but they don't realize that what Mark Twain was doing, it's they're too ignorant to understand symbolism. So it has to be, those things have to be on the nose. And we're still dealing with, with people dealing with PTSD from, and we don't know how to deal with mental health in this country, still. Fredo's eyes are wide open. That's what, right?
Kind of what I do. Yeah.
So it's like, eventually you just gotta say what it is, man. 10 soldiers and Nixon's coming, sorry, I'm off my
No, no,
soapbox.
no. No, it's quite all right. And I think again, it's while we're talking about broad brushes and on the nose and stereotypes, all of that is important because again, it's Captain America. In some ways, you can get to be more subtle, you get to be more esoteric with something like One Division, because One Division is very much a show about, you know, the characters unto themselves. Captain America is from day one has been about bigger than life symbolism of the country. That's why Jack Kirby and I forget what's the Stan Lee who created um, the one may have been Joe Simon. But when they created the character, that's what they were looking for. They were looking for something larger than life. It's a symbol, and when you talk about symbols, you know you have to be big. You have to go big. If you try to go small, then the character doesn't rise to the moment.
And it's kind of interesting that the the Captain's America, is that the proper English? The Captain's America that we've seen have been everything America is. They've seen Captain America as, you know, a good guy with a heart of gold, and you've seen flawed, and you've seen black and white, and like I said, running away from their atrocities, running into a fight. It's it's that that's the complex symbolism. But like I said, the other stuff that, like I said, it needs to be across the nose.
No, I guess the other thing I was going to say about the show is it does a good job of making sure that there are no, and it's interesting because in Captain America, there is no good guy and it's a lot of bad guys. Patrick's a bad guy. He's just interested in money. The power broker is more likely a bad guy or bad girl in this case because she's interested in gaining power. Uh, but is Carly a bad guy, a villain?
Right. Well, all of them,
Is yeah,
everything's shades of gray, right?
right.
Yeah.
And even the idea of stopping her, you know, fighting her, gets coded with this sense of the morality of something like World War II when Captain America was first formed is gone. This world's very complex. You can't just simply be somebody like Walker was, where it's I'm the good guy. If I'm fighting them, they're the bad guys. It's a bit more complex than that when you're talking about people, and that's in a way what Sam is representing, and Bucky represents it as well because he's somebody who's trying to make right for all the things he did wrong.
All right, so it wouldn't be a Who Dat Jedi podcast if Aaron didn't complain about something. So here are my two complaints about this last episode. One, I didn't like um, I didn't like Sam bringing around the senators at the very end. It seemed like we're at the end of an episode of Happy Days, and we're trying to get the moral of the story out. If you're talking about too on the nose, that was too on the nose, and that just seemed to it just brought me to a screeching halt. So I don't know, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about it, but again, like to Fredo's point, there's nothing subtle about Captain America, and
Hmm.
and my point, Sam, this is his superpower. And so you put those two things together, and you're going to get him trying to bring people together and speaking to it. And so I didn't mind the concept, I guess the execution, but it was fine. Fredo, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna say because in some ways the big lesson of this series, of this six episode arc, was as much about how you really shouldn't have trust in institutions. You should have trust in people. Because what happens when Sam and his sister go to the bank? Oh, you're Falcon. You can't get an autograph, but nah. Where you been the last 5 years? Where's your W-2s? We can't give you a loan. So if they need to fix a boat, they call up their community. Their community comes together and helps one another. And it's the same thing that you see with the funeral of Tanya Madani in the earlier episode. The community of people who've been displaced are coming together. That's kind of the bigger point that I think Sam is getting at is having a faith in people to be good, to do good, and having the ability to bring them together to do something better.
Well, I'm not
Because you
saying
have the power to do that, or you can be somebody like the Power Broker or Zemo, or somebody like Walker, who actually no, Walker can't bring anybody together.
All right. Okay. So you mentioned the name, but first of all, I mean, yeah, I know it kind of contradicts what I was saying before, how people need to be smacked across the face with it. But it just that was, if there was anything clunky, it was that scene that was clunky to me.
Mhm.
It was, or not. It didn't feel like the end of a Happy Days episode. It felt like the end of a GI Joe cartoon. Where two kids are about ready to set something on fire, and out comes Flint and Lady J telling them not to set forest fires. So. The other thing that kind of bothered me was why did we need Zemo to get his last laugh with his butler, blowing up the last of the Flag Smashers? That just kind of bothered me as well.
Well, my thing is because they give you the moment prior where one of the guards has been turned or has come around to their side, going, "One world, one people."
Yeah, and they
we're gonna
could have just left it there and let the car drive off, and then you would have went, "Oh my God, what's coming next?" But no, we got to get Boom and Zemo laughing in a cell.
Because the idea is that Zemo is intelligent enough to know that Carly's message will find people to sign up to it, even people who are not super soldiers. So the idea that he kind of foresaw that and sent his old butler, his old Alfred, his evil Alfred, out
Evil
into the
Alfred.
world to put a bomb in a police paddy wagon that's surrounded by federal agents, and that nobody saw him. I mean, so in some ways you go like, "Wow, how did you plan all that?" But that it speaks to his character, but I also
Yeah.
think it speaks to the greater idea of, because I mean, in some ways the Flag Smashers have served a purpose for the story, but it's more to the idea of there's always going to be people turn to we're going to come around to some point of view, and Zemo's attitude is you can't be nice, destroy them, and that's his point of view. It's not the right one, but it's his.
So to kind of to wrap up this conversation, let's just kind of go around the horn, because we really knew nothing about what Falcon and Winter Soldier was going to be about going into it. So, do you feel like you got, do you feel like you got a good meal? I guess at the end of the day, I guess how would you rate your experience with this, and do you think this is going to be something you watch again, Dave? What do you think? Because I don't want to say were your expectations met. We always talk about leave your expectations at the door, but were your expectations met?
Well, I'll also just give it a general thumbs up, because again, I think like it's important for people to know. It's like, well, should I bother? Should I just track this thing down if I haven't watched it yet? I would say yes. I would say the experience was worthwhile. I really liked the John Walker stuff. I mean, he becomes so easy to hate. And Aaron, to your point, when you said you really have to beat people's people over the head with these messages, there's like John Walker fan groups on Facebook right now. Like literally, that's a thing. So to your point, a lot of people still aren't getting it.
Yeah, they missed
and
it.
so there's still a lot of work still to be done.
Fat,
But
drunk,
I
and
also
stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, no, I think to really at the end of the day, it's lovely because it addresses an elephant in the room, which is racism in this country. and it gets us from point A to point B with Sam, getting him to accept the mantle. And I'm excited for Bucky at this point at the end of this whole thing too. It's like, okay, so he's finally, whereas Sam was taking on a mantle, I feel like Bucky has finally shed his mantle. The Winter Soldier, he's there may be people that aren't done with him or aren't done with what that character has done. But I think he is finally getting over those things and he is ready to move forward. So I'm really excited to see where he goes from here too. Woo!
Fredo,
Yeah,
what do you think?
yeah, I'm gonna agree with everything Dave said. I think, yeah, will I go back and watch it? Yes, I will. Was I, did I enjoy what I got? Absolutely, I did. I find that with now two Marvel shows under their belts, they're showing the same amount of depth, touch for story writing as they do in the movies, which is surprising because if you remember the Marvel stuff on Netflix, some of that stuff had different levels of quality. Sometimes they would start strong and fade. Sometimes it'd be start slow and then end with a big wallop. So, here I'm finding that there's a consistency to all the productions, whether it was WandaVision or Falcon and Winter Soldier or Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I'm hoping that that sticks through to Loki and all the other stuff that's coming down the line. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch it. I'm gonna enjoy it. I think uh, I'm as excited for Captain America 4 now so I think I am for anything else, just because I want to see where they go next. I mean, the Walker's gonna come back. You know that Bucky's gonna come back. You know that some of these story threads that appear to have been left dangling will be picked up again somewhere down the road.
So I think what I'm going to end with is it's going to be more about the Disney Plus thing. Disney has they exceeded my expectations with Disney Plus. I mean, the quality of the Marvel shows that we've gotten, the quality of the Mandalorian seasons, uh, you know, it's been it's just been awesome. So definitely that's that. So yeah, and of course they knew they had to do it right, but hitching their post to Marvel and Star Wars was already a pretty safe bet, but it could also have been screwed up really, really easily. And so far, they have not screwed it up. So, yeah. So, yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good story. It was totally different than the WandaVision, you know, obviously very just totally different. So yeah, it was good. So, well, we've had our alarms go off. It's time to put you kids to bed and or get you back to work. Don't forget Tuesday, Zony Mash. Make sure you do check out. That's May the 4th. Make sure you check out the show description for all the links and stuff like that, and we'll tweet this stuff out and things like that as well in case you miss it. We'll hold your hand a little bit, but come prepared for trivia and just to have some fun and whatever you support somebody on Give Nola Day. It helps our community tons. So with that, we will say who dat?
Who dat?
Who dat?
And we'll see you on Tuesday.
McConkey.